I've always thought about it, like, if I had to redo, would I go back to Microsoft or work with a smaller company?
What are the biggest mistakes that people make when they are working with people, when they are new to a team?
So I fully believe that, like, a lot of the technical stuff you can learn, but you need to have the right attitude. And that again goes into
So if you were out of the college, would you start working for a big company, or do you say, no, I'm going to start like working on a startup?
So that's a very interesting question. I've always thought about it, like, if I had to redo, would I go back to Microsoft or work with a smaller company? I definitely think the rate at which you learn at a smaller company it's quite steep, because you're just almost like a fire hose and everything is thrown at you. You can play multiple roles. You put on multiple hats, but I do think like I got a lot of good key fundamentals when I started off at Microsoft. So I guess maybe my thing would be like you do maybe a year or something at like, a bigger company and understand those key fundamentals and then quickly move on to like a startup.
Okay, so now let's step in, and now you're Rahma, the manager. So what are the things that you're looking for when you are hiring new junior engineers?
I think obviously like, passing the technical bar that we have established, like, at the different places I've worked in. So like, there is a technical bar you need to establish. I think a lot of the other times, the other thing that I look for is someone's ability to learn, right? Like how much do they actually appreciate learning, how much they want to grow, and how much they want to actually be able to just contribute, and how passionate they are with the overall product that we're building. Because I think if you have like a good alignment between a person's personal motivations with the larger company goals, the more alignment you can create, the more you can keep them happy and the more you can keep them like fulfilled.
So I would like now step back and say, I'm not Rahma, the manager, more about the engineers. So if you analyze all the successful engineers that you have been working with, what all of them have in common? What values do they all of them have in common?
I think, obviously, like, having a good technical set of expertise is very important. Being kind of like, just very passionate about technology, right? Like I think it's going to be very hard for someone to be successful or someone to be happy in doing things that they don't really enjoy. So all those people genuinely like were passionate about what they worked on. They enjoyed what they're doing, and that's why they continued to learn and they continued to grow. And then I think the other thing was like all of them like really displayed a very strong work ethic. So all of them were like, really in it. They were putting in the hours. They were like, putting in the work and the time that's needed. And a lot of times that might be at odd hours, right? Like everything is not going to be perfect 9 to 5. But they were just, in it to like, display a very strong work ethic. And I think that's been very inspirational for myself too.
When you join a new engineering team, what do you think is key in order to earn trust of the people and to get into the mood of way of working and methodology?
I think the first and the most important thing is to understand the space that you've just landed in and understand the people that you've just landed in with. So like, actually going out and like understanding every person's like motivations, where they are in their career, where they started off to be, where they want to get to, right? And really building like a lot of trust within them, so that like this is now going to become your team. And so like the more time you can spend in terms of like understanding and connecting with people, the better it puts you up in terms of working with them in the future.
Okay, so you basically have worked with junior people, seniors, leaders, CTOs, VPs. So what are the biggest mistakes that people make when they are working with people, when they are new to a team?
I think a lot of times, like I said, it's probably something that I exhibited as well. It's like playing it kind of as safe as possible, or putting yourself inside a very comfort zone, or just thinking within the box, right? I think a lot of times you tend to appreciate the people who have an appetite for challenge and the ability to take on like different challenges and opportunities. And the people who really just show up, right? Like, so as opposed to like, this is my job and like, I'm going to be here from this time to this time, and these are like the base expectation, and I'm just going to make that happen. They don't tend to like, inspire as much confidence as the people who are just like, okay, yeah, we need to do this, I'll make it happen kind of thing.
And in terms of collaboration and working with others, is something that you have seen like, oh, that's not a good attitude?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think I place a lot of importance on having the right sort of cultural and behavioral mindset. So I fully believe that like, a lot of the technical stuff you can learn, but you need to have the right attitude. And that again goes into the fact that like, you can be very technically, you can like, be very knowledgeable, but if you're just like, this is my job, or like, I'm not going to do more than this, or this is it, versus the people who are just receptive to feedback. I think one of the biggest things that people can do to just learn learn and grow is being able to be receptive to feedback. And a lot of times, like, you know, you're gonna get feedback that you're like, I don't agree with this at all, this is total BS. But still actually appreciating the fact that why did someone even give it to me? And it's fine to filter out a bunch of feedback that may be irrelevant, but the fact that someone gave you certain feedback, like something caused them to do that. So understanding that would be really helpful for your own growth.
Feedback is a gift. And then understand that it's just work and it's a way of improving yourself.
Exactly. So you should always welcome feedback, especially the negative one, because the more you welcome that, the more it inspires confidence in other people's abilities to give you that feedback. If you become absolutely defensive, you're almost closing yourself off from anyone ever even giving you that. So you're never going to learn what you could improve. So
awesome. I really like, because basically your point was, it's not only about the technical skills, there should be more there. Like
for sure. And I think, yeah, that's the main thing. Again, technical skills is all stuff that you can, you know, eventually learn and stuff, but like it's with the right attitude, it's with the right mindset. So if you need to have very much of a growth mindset, as opposed to like you can be in a fixed mindset in order to progress in your career.
So you're really successful, so you are there, but what were your biggest mistakes that you ever made in your career? Those things that you say, oh, I learned from that experience, but it was a big mistake.
I think the biggest mistake, or I don't call it mistake, but the things I'd like to maybe go back and change would be taking more risk. I think a lot of times, like, you know, when you're on a certain trajectory, like, you know, you care so much about success that like you're almost scared to take more risk and additional risk. And so you keep on putting yourself in like a safe zone and a comfort zone. And I think if anything I've learned in my life is like, it's okay sometimes to even fail, because you learn a lot from those experiences. So like to everyone out there, like, you know, put yourself, like, I mean, obviously don't put yourself in like obviously failure situations, but put yourself in situations where you're like, oh, I'm kind of nervous, and like, you know, there is a chance I may fail. And to be honest, every time I've put myself in those situations, I probably come out to be a lot more successful, because like there was a part in me which was like, I have to make this work. Like, you know, this cannot fail. So I gave my 110% to that, as opposed to taking on things where I was like, oh yeah, I have like good enough confidence that I'm going to succeed anyways. So you end up giving like your 80-90% because you have that in you.
By taking risk in your career, it could be moving from Microsoft to a smaller company,
exactly.
Here, or
yeah, I mean, I think it'd be all that, or actually in a lot of times just like signing up to do work where you're just like, I'm not fully sure. Like, I mean, an interesting story is like, you know, my first job at Microsoft, like, you know, I got hired because the question that was asked to me, like, I didn't have a lot of background context on that area and field, and one of the things I just did is like, okay, I'm just going to attempt answering this to the best of my knowledge, and I was given feedback that the fact that I just went up there and attempted, and very bravely attempted to just go like, yeah, okay, I got this, it really spoke to like, you know, inspiring confidence in the person who hired me, and like my own abilities to execute on stuff that I'm not familiar with.
So basically, don't say no, try hard to answer, and try hard to move forward.
Exactly, yeah.
Video, it's over, that's all. But you can still watch more videos. Maybe you can enjoy this video, or maybe you can enjoy this video, or maybe this one, or you know what, maybe you can watch all of them. And by the way, if you really enjoy the channel, subscribe right here. Just one click and you are